Hello and welcome to Module 4, your last module in this training. In the previous module, you learned about the dilemmas of getting the SDGs into school settings and how the Global Schools program is overcoming those three dilemmas. In this module, you will learn about your role as an advocate, what that means for you, and how you will get started. Your mission is simple. Inspire schools and educators in your community to join the Global Schools program so they will get access to training, lesson plans, resources to educate their students on the SDGs. So, how can schools join the Global Schools program? Simple. We have created an online pledge, which is basically a form that school administrators and teachers or principals can sign. It should not take more than 5 minutes to actually complete the form. The name for this pledge or form is the school's commitment to the SDGs. So, how do you get schools to do that? This is how you start in your journey as an advocate. You research and gather information on primary and secondary schools in your city or country. You note down their names, websites, email addresses, etc. Basically, you create a database of the number of schools that you want to reach, and whether that's 15 or 20 or 50 or 35, whatever. Once you have gathered all their information, you can begin contacting them one by one through email or other means, asking them whether you can speak at one of their staff meetings or events. Remember, your target audience, your ultimate target audience, are teachers and schools administrators, like principals. So, let's say you reach out. If you don't hear back from them within a week or so, then you follow up with them with another email or reach out. If you still don't hear back for another week, then maybe give them a call. The good thing about having a database is you can track all of this. Okay, let's say you do get an email back from them. Then they ask, what can we do next? Maybe propose to either have a call with them to discuss your plan or to meet with one of the persons in charge to discuss your plan, or to speak at one of their events. Remember, our objectives as advocates is to try our absolute best to convince these schools to give us a chance to speak at one of their meetings or events. So in that meeting or event, you can make a case for what the SDGs are and why they're important and convince them to join the movement. So, once you get an invitation for an event, you got to please begin preparing your presentation. You got to make sure that your presentation is adapted to the audience you're addressing this meeting. A presentation to geography teachers might be a bit different to a presentation to principals. So also it matters how many people are in the room. So try to adapt your presentation. Then you practice your presentation and your speech. Ultimately, your speech and presentation will be around these three key questions. What are the SDGs? Why do they matter to teachers and schools that you're speaking to? And what actions you're asking these teachers and schools to take? For example, sign the pledge to join the network, use the resources on the websites, or tell other schools and teachers about it. So these are some actions that you're asking. So what are the SDGs? Why do they matter? And what happens? And don't worry, we will give you template presentations and template emails for this outreach. But ultimately, you want to keep your presentation short and sharp. Let's say 10 minutes. And remember that less is more. This is the key for effective communication. And let's see, you go to that school, you give this presentation, and you open for questions. Let's say that they ask you something about the Global Schools program that you're not sure about. Don't panic. Simply tell them that you don't know, or to check the website. All the information should be there, or easily to contact the Global Schools program, and we will take it from there. The point here is that you are going down to make a case for the SDGs, and that's what matters. And in that, you might have to answer a couple of questions and to clarify the content. So this is really important. Remember, your main target is teachers and school administrators. And your main objective is to get them to join the SDG movement by signing the pledge, which is essentially the Global Schools program. So, what happens when a school signs the pledge and basically joins? Well, we see their form that they fill, and we will check to see if the form has been filled properly. Then, once we've seen that it has, then we will send them an acceptance email with a certificate which confirms that they're part of the network and they have signed the pledge. We will then send an invitation email to the school administrators and the school teachers that have been, whose names have been put in the form. And that, of course, depends on how many emails and how many names of teachers and administrators the school has given us. But basically, we email all those people and we invite those teachers to join our internal educators forum, which is basically an online space where educators and schools from around the network and around the world can interact with each other online and, discuss. The email will also contain links to various resources like the training course for the teachers, lesson plans, fun resources, and examples of what schools around the world are doing. So now that the school is part of the network, their teachers are part of our educators forum and they have access to all the resources. Going forward, on a regular basis, we will send these schools whether this is through the network, the online platform, or through a newsletter, all this material. It will be new cool resources, opportunities, examples of other schools, but we will also ask the schools and teachers to share their work, their success, their story, their actions, also their feedback, which part of which lessons can be more effective, and how to make the content even better. It is a way for creating feedback. This way, we will build a dynamic community that can respond and create and set up the best content. And this is how you build a movement. School by school, teacher by teacher, we will build a community which will have access to the best SDG resources for educators in the world. So, what is next? Well, in your mission, you need to know about 4 major responsibilities and 4 major areas that will guide your work. Firstly, you need to know your product. If you're going around to talk about the Global Schools Program and to talk about SDGs and education for sustainable development, about lesson plans, about different online resources, games, it is important that you have viewed those and you have learned them and you know what they are and how they work. So it is absolutely critical that you're able to at least review the content that we have to make sure you understand it, but also that you understand the concept. So remember, know your product. That's the first one. Second one, know your target. This is really important. You are going to be speaking to people who have never heard of the SDGs. So you have to understand and you have to know your target. You need to know whether you're speaking to a school principal, to a geography teacher, or to a maths teacher, to a school administrator. This all depends. And for that, you have to adjust your communication to suit that crowd. Now, the third principle, be prepared. If you are going out there to make a case for the SDGs, it is crucial that you are well prepared and can give a really good presentation. This is crucial because it will enable you to communicate and tell the story of education and global schools. And this is ultimately what will inspire these schools to join. Remember, they need to understand what the SDGs are, and they can be difficult and complex to explain. But most importantly, they need to care and see their relevance. And this is ultimately you making that case in your community. Because every community has different needs and different priorities and different ways of looking at things. So you are really at the forefront and at the cutting edge of bringing this information and the Sustainable Development Goals to them and convincing them to jump on board. And fourth and final responsibility, be professional. This is incredibly important. People will need to rely on you. Again, remember, this is the first time these schools and these educators most likely have heard about the SDGs and sustainable development education. You are ultimately a representative, an advocate for this concept. So your personal conduct, the way you present and the way you conduct yourself will also, in a way, reflect on their experience with the Sustainable Development Goals. So as a person who is advocating for the goals on the ground, it is incredibly important for you to have a professional conduct when you are serving as an advocate of the program. So with this, we've come to the end of level 4. And as you complete the readings and assessments for this course, you will be awarded the title of a Global Schools Advocate. Being a part of your learning journey has been incredibly exciting for us and the team. I really want to thank everyone for joining us from around the world and taking this online training course. And I'm looking forward to seeing all your great work in the field, disseminating your learnings, creating awareness about the SDGs, and creating a movement for a better future from the classrooms. Good luck with your final module and see you on the other side.